Hi there BookTube, it's Eleanor here, and today I'm going to be talking about some books. This is going to be over a period of time. Obviously you're watching it in one go, but I've realised recently that I haven't been talking about the books that I've been reading, and in part that is because I haven't been reading so much, and I keep saying, oh, I'll wait until I've got enough books to talk about, and then it transpires that I've forgotten a bit about the books I want to talk about, and it's not working out like that. So I thought I'd try what a lot of people do, where I talk about the books as and when I read them and then upload something on a sort of semi-regular basis. So let's see how that goes. Anyway, I wanted to talk about a book that I finished very recently, and that was Eliza and Her Monsters by Francesca Zappia. Now, I've not read any of her work before. I picked this up purely on the recommendation of Elizabeth from Books and Pieces, and this is a bit out of Elizabeth's comfort zone, I would say. She tends to be a lot more SFF, and so I was really intrigued by the fact that she was loving this, and it's a contemporary YA. So I picked it up quite quickly after she mentioned it, and got stuck in pretty much straight away. Now, this book is interesting in its format because you do have artwork throughout, and there are some instances of emails and direct messaging that we see throughout that our main character is having with different people. So it has got sort of a mixed feel in terms of its formatting. The story is about a young girl called Eliza. I think she's 17 in this story, and she is very socially awkward. She's quite anxious, and she's very quiet and a little bit of a loner at school, and no one really knows much about her, but she's very heavily into an online community. In fact, so much so that she is the creator of a whole fandom. She has millions of fans for her comic series, her web comic series that she draws and writes online, and she has some online friends that she chats to regularly who know who she is. However, nobody else knows that she writes this. She's kept it very quiet, and then in walks a new boy to school, who it transpires loves the web series that she's written called Monstrous Seas, and writes fan fiction for it. And they form a bond. She doesn't tell him who she is, and we follow the story from there. This boy is also going through some things in his life. He doesn't like to talk. They communicate through writing. If he does talk, it has to be when he's comfortable and in certain situations. And what I really liked about this is that we didn't get anybody in here trying to change the people. She doesn't try to change how he likes to communicate. She doesn't try to fix him. I find it a big struggle in YA books where someone's clearly got social anxiety or agoraphobia, or there's something in their lives that is causing them some issues, and everyone tries to fix them. And I know that's a natural thing, but I don't think that other children or other people would necessarily always try to do that. They would just roll with it. I think kids are much more resilient and open to just, okay, that person doesn't like to talk, well, we'll just write to each other. And I really liked how that was done, and I really liked how the book's focus wasn't on fixing people that, have different disorders and different things going on in their life, and I thought that it was nice that that was there, but it wasn't the main focus of the story. I really liked how present the parents were in this story. Eliza's parents are very present, as is her brothers, and I really liked how Eliza was a flawed character. She's not doing the right thing all the time, and she does realise certain things as the story progresses, and learn things about herself, and move forward and have this sort of arc of progression in her life, which I really enjoyed. So I really liked this. It wasn't a 5-star. I didn't get enough emotional connection for it to be 5 stars, but it was a really strong 4 stars, and if you're looking for a YA contemporary and perhaps you're not a YA contemporary reader all the time, I think this is a really good one to look for. So when I come back to you next, it will be when I finish my next book. So bye for now. Hi guys, so I'm sitting here now and I've just finished my next book. This is my first book as well for the contemporary readathon that I'm doing, and I picked up Fierce Kingdom by Gin Phillips. I really enjoyed this, not as much as I was hoping to, but I did really enjoy it. I really liked the pace and the tension. It was fast paced. I managed to get through this in about a day. It left me wanting to read more. I love those books where you just don't want to put them down. You're like, I'll just read another chapter. Oh, I really need to know what's going on. And the way that Jim Phillips built tension was really good. One thing that I didn't like so much was I did feel like there was sometimes too long a lull in the tension. You got a little bit too much of, well, there were sort of 3 or 4 sections in there where you got some backstory of the other people that were involved. I should probably tell you what it's about, and then you might understand what I mean by that. It's the story of a mother and son, and they're at the zoo, and they go there quite regularly. They've got membership, and they're in a little part of the zoo, and they're whiling away time, like digging up fossils and spending some time in one of the sort of play areas. And the mother realises that they're going to miss closing time and they need to really rush to get out, and so they rush to get out, and then they realise that there's something going on. And it turns out that there is men shooting in the zoo, and they're all sort of hostage there. And it's really just following her over this sort of hour or so time period, and looking at the sort of thing that a mother would do for a child, and the protection, and how you might react in this situation. There is some certainly questionable acts that happen that you wonder. You know, you'd like to think that maybe you wouldn't behave in that way, but you do wonder, you know, unless you're in that situation, I don't think you can know. But so I really liked those sort of questions that it posed. You know, would you forsake everybody else for the sake of your child? Would you ignore someone else in danger? You know, what lengths would you go to protect well, not really yourself, but your child, which I found fascinating. And this was even more impactful, I suppose, for me in a way, because we used to, up to when Matilda went to school this year, we would regularly go to our local zoo. We had membership. There is a play area like the one that's described. And I could picture me and Matilda and being there and going to these different, you know, when different animal exhibits were mentioned, I could picture us in there, and it really sort of evoked that feeling. And I wonder, when I go to the zoo next, if we go back to this particular zoo, whether I would feel nervous after reading this, even though it's fictionalised. It also makes you think about the type of people that commit these acts, and how it's not always the type of people you expect. So I really enjoyed that. I would say that I did find myself at times, because the pace was so fast, like rush reading. So not skipping pages, but just sort of rush reading, where you don't fully take in everything that's going on because it is too fast. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the questions it raised. I was disappointed there wasn't a better ending. I felt like it left us a little bit too much in the dark about what happened to the characters. I feel like it would have benefited from maybe, you know, a brief roundup of in the aftermath about the different characters. But all in all, it was a good read, just not a great read for me, unfortunately. So I'm going to give this one 3 stars. And now I'm going to move on to book 2 for the contemporary readathon. I'll get back to you when I finish that one. Okay, so it's been a few days now, but it took me a few days to finish my latest book, and that is Something Real by Heather Demetrios. Now, I picked this up as part of the Contemporary-a-thon, and I'm so pleased I did. It was not a particularly long book at 400 pages, but it was definitely one that I feel like needed some more careful reading, and it was a slower contemporary, and I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed reading it slowly and really getting involved with the characters. I really enjoyed the look we took in this book at reality TV. Our main character has been in reality TV really her whole life, and her family has 13 children, and It's part of this reality TV show called The Baker's Dozen, and she's grown up in the spotlight, and something's happened a couple of years previous that we don't know in the beginning of the story, so I won't spoil it for you, although it does come up quite quickly, that has put a halt on the show. So they've had 2 years where she's changed her name and she's gone to a regular high school, she's changed her image and look so people don't recognise her, and she doesn't talk about her family or her life previous to starting school. She's got some friends, she's fitting in, she's starting to feel a little bit less anxious, she suffers from severe panic attacks and anxiety, and she's just feeling a little bit like a normal child. And then wham bam, thank you man, her mum and stepfather restart the TV series without consulting anyone, and then life is just thrown into turmoil, and we look at the trials of being part of this reality TV world when you don't want to be, and also the things, you know, that how it can change you, how it can change how others see you, the issues it can raise. And I just thought it was a really interesting look at that. I liked the characters, even the side characters, although the side characters were interesting but we didn't get quite enough of them, I felt. And I just really enjoyed this. I also enjoyed, there is some different media in there. We do look at sort of text messages from time to time and emails and things like that. We do have sort of some back story where we go into previous episodes that have been filmed before now. And I like the fact that each chapter is named, like, what's this one called? Let's have a look. Season 17, episode 4, the one where I ditch school. So I really enjoyed how that was put in there. So it was a really good contemporary. I really enjoyed Heather Demetrios's writing. I'm definitely going to be picking up some more books by her. And yeah, I definitely recommend this one. It was a solid 4 stars. So that's 3 of the books that I've read recently and what I thought of them. I'm not reading quite so much as I used to, so there's not so many reviews coming up. I don't really read enough at the moment to be doing regular Friday reads videos, so I hope that it's okay that I bring to you my recent reads as and when I have a few books to talk about. Anyway, let me know if you've read any of these, and I look forward to speaking to you soon. Bye for now, BookTube.